Yeah, I think so.
And same question for the rest of you. Before you go to the gatehouse, are you going immediately or are you resting tonight?
If they go immediately to the gatehouse, then I'm not resting. I'm going to the gatehouse.
Okay.
To be clear.
That's fine. So I've got Kelian and Riot down for Gatehouse and Liberation for Foundry. If you don't rest for tonight, you're going to be doing your next action with a level of exhaustion.
Let me look up what level 1 exhaustion is.
You guys came in
Disadvantage on all the stuff you like.
You guys came in from an adventure, and before you had time to do much of anything, you're swept up in all the chaos.
Yeah.
Liberation.
Liberation resting or no?
Yeah, he's going to actually double back to the Temple of Osram and collapse there.
Okay. And what about Kelian?
I would like to rest, but if Riot is gung-ho about doing this, then Kelian has no qualms about pushing himself.
Is Riot gung-ho about doing this?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Also, I just realized that I told you I cast Riot's Righteous Crash Pad, and I have a new song for that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I knew a man who had no jink, he always had that sigil stink. He slept in gutters, ate stale bread, where is he now? That cutter's dead. I live in my imagination, conjure mansions from my mind, sleep soundly in a lavish bed, my guests and I drink magic wine. I've camped in forest, ate cold fox, bedded on a pile of rocks, lay terrified in giants den, I'll never live like that again. I party every night away, conjure mansions from my mind. Friends of anarchy are welcome. Let's raise the toast with magic wine.
That was amazing.
That's a really good
That was
song.
good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
That was one of the best.
That's really good. Yes.
All right, so Riot is dragging Kelian and Mahogany to the gatehouse. Liberation and Nath, you guys resting tonight and are going to get back to work tomorrow. If you have enough experience to level, you two can go ahead and do that now.
Okay.
Wonderful.
As for me, I'm going to take 2 seconds and go and hit the head, and then I'll come back and we'll get this gatehouse underway.
So, what do you pick up at your next level, Nath?
I don't think you get much of anything. Is it a feat? Yeah, you get a feat.
Let's see, at 16th level. Ability score improvement or feat, and I think I'm just going to take the ability score improvement.
Yeah, same with me. But that's not relevant to me right now.
I mean, I guess I get more spells. I can prepare one extra spell, and I think I get one extra spell when I spend a short rest. I get an extra spell slot back. But
That's really I like that. I like that ability.
But I had a magic card in the book just to bookmark it. I am going to take Resilient and get what is that, level 16 now? So
I was thinking about taking
He
Resilient.
gets a boatload of hit points, right? I think
That's
too.
tough.
get 32 extra hit points.
No, that's tough. Which feat are you thinking of?
Resilient Constitution gives you Constitution saving throws and 1 Constitution.
Oh, not Resilient. There's Toughness. Yeah, I already have
Getting
Resilient,
tough.
so I can't take it again. There's one that
Yeah,
just
you
gives
can. You can
2
take
points
Resilient again, just not for the same stat.
Really?
Yes.
Is that errata? Because per the rules, you can't. Okay.
I'm almost certain you're wrong.
Well, I mean, I already have all the saving throws I care about.
I was also looking at.
I've already
tough
taken
'cause
Resilient twice, so.
I could use a bonus 32 hit points. I'm not gonna lie.
Kelian,
But
Riot,
then-
and Mahogany.
I was.
Yes.
Apply 1 level of exhaustion. You had
No, I'm not going to do that, because I'm going to take some of this magic speed that I've been carrying.
Mhm.
It's called Greater Restoration, and I crush one of these diamonds, and then snort the 100 GP of diamond dust, and I lose a level of exhaustion.
Okay. Do you offer your sweet smack to Riot and Kelian?
No, I do this before I even meet them.
Okay.
I was gonna say you should really do that in front of Kelian.
So Riot
just
and
to see his
Kelian,
reaction of you snorting a diamond.
you have disadvantage on ability checks from exhaustion.
That's all right.
What's the plan for getting the oldest Barmy out of the gatehouse?
Yeah, what is the plan?
Listen, everything right now is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It should be no problem for us to get up to the oldest Barmy. And once
Plans are
we're
how the
there-
oldest Barmy got into the gatehouse. We're just gonna go.
Right.
Okay.
And once we're there, and once we meet him, well, Dimension Door is just a spell away.
Definition of insanity.
they will
Doing the same
definitely
thing
have-
over and over again.
They will definitely have magical protections in place to ensure that you can't just teleport out with an inmate.
Last time I had no problem doing that.
With who?
Remember the last time we went to the gatehouse?
Mm-hmm.
And had that big altercation, and Riot just pieced out immediately.
I think you did it once you got them out of the cell.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't take an inmate with you, that's for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's worth a try.
Then I guess. I wonder.
Also, I mean, last time we were here, we did them a huge solid.
Yeah. Would
So
Riot
let's just
know?
go,
If,
hey, we're taking this guy.
would Riot know if the problem is taking an inmate or leaving from a cell?
Make an intelligence arcana check.
Mm-hmm. At disadvantage.
Don't make it a disadvantage because you've been traveling with Nath for quite some time.
So I would have advantage on it,
No, you don't have advantage,
so
you just don't have disadvantage.
but I'm exhausted.
Right, so you would have advantage. Instead, you do.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let me put one of these down then. This is an Arcana check, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's only a 9.
Only a 9?
You said Intelligence Arcana?
Intelligence arcana.
Yes, that's a 9.
Okay. Your best guess would be both.
Mhm.
Both. They would probably have protections on both the inmate himself and on the individual cells.
Okay. In that case, I think the plan is seeming. We get up there, we disguise as somebody else, we all walk out.
Okay. And as you predicted, I mean, the chaos is still palpable. It's well after anti-peak when you guys arrive at the gatehouse. And Nath had left a couple of Harmonium kind of in charge of organizing the group out here. So there's no fighting. There's no arguing. There's not a lot of disarray. But the Bleakers are very clearly overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys get to the front of the line?
Riot is going to put on a show of being very concerned for a relative of hers who's being held in the area where the oldest army is.
Okay. And the other two of you are going along with that plan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's get the gatehouse map back out here. You know, just in case. You never know when 7 fights will break out.
Wait a second. What is he implying?
All right. Are you using seeming to make you guys appear as someone else?
I'm not going to cast it until we're at the cell.
Okay.
I'm using an alter self to make myself look as someone other than ourselves.
And what about Kelian?
Kelian's fate is in Riot and or Mahogany's hands, so he does not have the appropriate time or even stamina to properly put on the disguise he might want.
So pushing away to
And
the
while
front of the
Riot's
line.
making her show, I'm just going to be very visibly like right next to her, backing her up.
Okay. Pushing away to the front of the line with this sob story about a relative that you're concerned about. The Bleakers, I mean, on the best of days, they don't care. Today, they very aggressively don't care. about your relative or why your needs are more important than anybody else's. I'll let one of you make a perception check for the group.
I'll make a perception check. Right, I would normally let you do it, but
I'm
someone's
exhausted.
currently exhausted.
Yeah. There you go.
Gotta get some of this diamond milkshake.
Your perception's pretty good, right?
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, a dice just disappeared off the face of the earth.
That's a good
that's-
perception check.
That's a good perception check.
Okay.
That's a 28. No, I'm sorry, that's crazy. It's a 26.
Mahogany. While Riot's giving this sob story and you're backing her up, but you're looking at this situation, there's probably 20 dispossessed Sigillians to every bleaker, and there's probably 20 bleakers to every hardhead here who's keeping order. Talking your way into the gatehouse, probably not going to get you anywhere. Everybody's too busy to deal with your stupid problem.
But if we walked away and then disguised ourselves as bleakers,
what you notice is that if you were able to remove these hardheads from the equation, reduce everything back to the chaos that it was, it would provide the perfect distraction to sneak into the gatehouse.
that doesn't sound very neutral, though. That sounds very chaotic.
It's
You've actually what you have actually done here is you're like, oh, I'm going to give Mahogany this idea. But what the idea that Mahogany got is, I have to make sure that Riot doesn't do this.
Yeah, sneaking into the gatehouse will probably be your best course of action, and that'll be much easier with a distraction. So you're thinking, we need to make sure that Riot doesn't do that.
Well, no, with a distraction, but I'm thinking these hardheads don't work with these bleakers very often, and also there's very few of them. So if we just bluff our way through with some bleaker disguises, which I know Riot can do,
Okay.
we might have a better shot.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to message Mahogany real quick.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, are you suggesting this plan to me?
I'm suggesting it to you once we extract ourselves from this conversation.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm real tapped right now. I can get one seeming up, and my plan right now is we get up there, I use one spell to seeming him as somebody else, some random bleaker, I don't know, and then another spell to put a permanent illusion of him in that cell, so that nobody knows what's going on. And that is it. That's what I can do.
Could you do the seeming with the permanent illusion?
No.
It doesn't go
No,
that way.
Today I've teleported, I've made a mansion, I have done a lot of stuff.
Sure, I'm asking if permanent illusion is a higher spell slot than seeming.
Yes.
It is? Then I think the permanent illusion is not necessary, because if someone notices they're gone, then we're already gone. That's not on us. And here's my addition to the seeming. I've been very open about being right here with you. Once we get in there, I'm going to alter self into a different person, and you can seem him as me. And then we're walking out with someone who very clearly walked in.
I see what you mean.
This sounds
Okay.
suspiciously like Mahogany's making a plan, and I am terrified. What's Kelian's role in these shenanigans?
Kelian's role is to be unable to roll less than 10 on the deception check.
Fucking, I'm exhausted too.
Still can't roll less than 10.
Yeah. All right. Kelian's roll. Oh, man, let's just start shit. How fast can Kelian get out of the gatehouse? Are they still in front of the gatehouse?
There's this giant group of people in front of the gatehouse. Like, you see this enormous entrance courtyard here? This big circular thing? This is
If you're trying to leave, though,
completely
I think
filled
that's
up with
easier.
people.
All right. Kelian pushes his way back to the crowd.
Okay.
and is there like a wall or something that's like? So Kelian's gonna fire some bolts against the wall and ignite them using the darkness command word, just to create shit.
Just to stir everything up. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that going to be enough cover? Is Kelian sharing this plan with Riot?
No. Because unless there's like a mind link, then no.
Then as soon as that happens, I think it's like Mahogany starts moving and we take our shot. Like, this isn't what I want it to happen, but it happens, so let's go.
And as soon as he
I'm with you.
fires those bolts and speaks the command word, each one creates a 20-foot radius sphere of magical darkness.
Yep.
And nobody knows what's happening. And it immediately starts quite a lot of conflict.
And Kelian books it on out of there.
When you say on
Riot
out of there,
books
you mean
on upstairs.
Kelian's leaving out of the courtyard?
Yeah, he's going back to the church.
Okay. Riot... I'm going to make Riot do the check. Actually,
Okay.
both of you give me a... So are we going with the Bleaker Disguises or no?
Right now, no. Right now, the distraction is our plan to get upstairs.
So go ahead and give me a sneak check, stealth check. You can make this add advantage because of the distraction, but Riot, that cancels out because of your exhaustion.
Right. Hey, look at that. Riot's got a 24.
24.
I've got only a 16.
Only a 16. Okay. You guys have both been here before and had an extremely hilarious combat encounter in the criminal.
We know exactly what wing he's not in because we did that one.
But you find his cell in the criminally and irretrievably insane wing. The door to his cell it's closed and barred. But as soon as you arrive, as soon as you step in front of it, there's a loud bang from inside as he throws himself in front of the door, and just through the slat, you see his crazy face, and he says, "I knew you'd come. Quickly, get me out of here."
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Riot casts knock on his cell door.
Cast at what level spell? What level slot?
I don't think it matters much. It's not Riot or knock doesn't scale with level.
No, but I still need to know.
Oh, second level, because Riot doesn't have no reason to do anything else.
Hey, make a spellcasting ability check.
Okay. That is going to be a disadvantage because
It's a charisma check though, because it's not a pre-spell,
charisma
right?
check.
Yeah, it's a charisma check.
Yeah. So I add. Do I add my proficiency to these?
No.
So I only add half my proficiency to these.
Yes.
Okay. So plus 7. Okay, got it. Well, no.
Didn't matter. The disadvantage didn't matter, I don't think.
Might want to spend a couple belief points here
Is this where we
to,
spend the
roll. No, I'm just spending 2 for a reroll.
2 for a
those are
reroll.
both really.
Okay.
Because those are both really bad. I'm pretty sure I can do better.
Vegas,
There we
baby?
go.
There you go. 24.
You cast knock, and I mean the spell is loud as it always is, and the spell works. But as the door pops open, you see him go flying back against the wall, and he crumples to the ground in great pain. He's having difficulty breathing. There was some kind of magical protection on this door to keep people from doing that, and you managed to bypass it. But he's on the ground, and he's trying to stumble to his feet, and he says, through choking coughs, that these past weeks have been absolute hell for him. He explains that his lucidity has returned, and he's able to explain and aid a great deal, but he needs you to get him to safety.
That's what we're here for. Mahogany, get him. I'm going to do the other prep work. And first you cast Seeming on all 3 of them.
Okay.
Make them look like just random, make them look like some of the people who are there in the entryway.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cast, because I actually have the slots for it, because we didn't need to use it for anything else, Permanent Image, to make it look like he's still here.
Just him cackling madly in his cell.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I grab him and kind of pull him out.
And that's it. Riot's got not a lot of magic left.
Let's do one more deception check so you guys can bluff your way out using these disguises. So make this check with advantage.
Okay.
Alright, so here's the thing. That's not me. So I'm going to air elemental my way out of here.
Okay.
How's a 27 do you?
And I mean, you guys, your Bleaker disguises up, and they're all extremely preoccupied with everything else going on. And you manage to sneak your way out the courthouse. Kelian's leaning up against the wall across the street with a pipe. Sup?
Cigarette, thank you. Pipe, whatever.
Oh, it's Liberation that smokes a pipe. I get him. I get you guys messed
Yeah.
up. The important thing is you'll both get cancer.
Yeah.
Liberation and Nath, did you guys level up?
Yeah.
During your rest?
Yes.
Okay. And are you bringing the oldest Barmy back to the temple or taking him somewhere else?
Back to the temple, because the whole point of this plan was to bring him to see Eldov, and Eldov's at the temple.
Can you bring up the map of Sigil real quick?
I would love to. Now, he claims his lucidity has returned to him, but the amount of babbling he does, the rapid-fire explanations, kind of gives the lie to his assertion.
Does it help if Mahogany never believed that, like, even at the beginning?
He remembers who he is. He is able to remember that he is, in fact, Darkwood. That he was locked in that cell for many hundreds of years. And he tells you that as soon as word of Factal Hashkar's assassination hit the gatehouse, as soon as Bleakers began talking about it, he realizes that he foretold that, which means he saw it happen. Or didn't witness it happening, literally, but he was present when it happened. And he remembered a lot of other things after the weeks leading up to that, to the crucial moment where he was very decidedly not mazed.
Yeah, so you know that you're the only Darkwood in town now, right?
And what you managed to put together, because you got to pay very close attention to his tangents go off in lots of different directions, and he's speaking very rapid fire and is very out of breath. 500-year-old man's having difficulty getting it all out. But what you put together is that Darkwood knew that he was going to be mazed and put considerable effort into contingency spells.
No, we already knew this. You told us this last time.
Yeah.
I think Nick and McDohl forgot.
It actually rang a bell when you start said contingency plans.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it was something about spell, like...
Because we had the whole conversation, and I referred to it before we went in there.
Okay.
It was a plan that got him in here.
I think
Yeah.
I think that might have been a conversation we had after we shut the stream off. but-
Because I brought it up in character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you want to go
I
ahead?
remember now that you say it.
Do you want to go
But
ahead
you're
and finish your sentence for me now?
He had several contingency spells in place, which were to go off in the event that he was going to be mazed by the lady. And instead, that didn't happen, but he ended up back here and went insane because he was stuck in a cell for hundreds of years.
So he explains all this to you. And now I've lost my train of thought.
I hijacked it.
This is why you don't interrupt the DM. Okay. So he explains all of this. And he's had 500 years to brood on it. And now that he keeps saying, now that his lucidity is back, he sees the errors that he made. Putting his plan together. He sees how horrific of a plan that it was. And how in the days between Hashkar being killed and Kelian watching Darkwood vanish, he tried desperately to get word to the Duke. To try to change his course of action. To try to keep him from doing the horrible things that the old Barmy now knows that the Duke has done. He asks whether or not Saren has been poisoned yet.
Yes, that's happened. That was just yesterday. Right, like looks up at the light. What is? It's not a sun, right? It's just peak and anti-peak.
Yeah, it's just a light
Yes.
in the sky.
The light happens. Yeah, Riot looks at the light. It was yesterday.
Yesterpeak.
And he asks whether or not the portals have been closed yet.
That has definitely not happened.
Let's go over that a little bit more.
And
Yeah,
he
wait, what?
very much refuses to go over that at all. Because that's good news. If that hasn't happened yet, then that means that there's still time to correct some of these errors. He says it's of crucial importance that they find the labyrinthine stone.
Well, we're taking you to it right now.
Maybe.
He seems
Probably.
elated that that's happening.
On the way back, since I have the ability to raise my speed a little bit, this is going to be the time when I make my quick rat hole trip, because we're going through the hive anyway.
Okay. And the other two of you are taking him directly back to the temple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to the rat hole, and you find a rat. You snap his neck, and the
Yeah.
portal does not open.
All right, well, that sucks. No, it's fine. We have a wizard. We can deal with this. We know the rat hole is somewhere in Sigil. It's not like it's suddenly not there.
I feel like maybe Mahogany knows this. This is putting two and two together here.
Does Mahogany seem like someone who puts two and two together?
No. No.
That's why I'm laughing. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll come back and he'll be halfway through the conversation of no, it's fine. The rat hole's still here. Oh wait.
Yeah.
All right, so we're a little late on that one.
So you guys take him back to the temple. And you're taking him upstairs immediately. We're going to do this right away.
I have, well, the others are asleep right now. This is like the middle of the night, right?
Liberation
Yes.
is passed out on a pew.
Most of the acolytes are asleep. Yashnars and Karan are still awake when you return.
Yeah, based on what he's saying and based on what Mahogany has said about, hey, it was weird. I couldn't get into the rat hole. Not sure why. Yeah, we're doing this right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to send pay some outside to run over to the ciphers and tell them that any wizards who are capable of casting creation spells should stop messing about with sendings and start creating food and water.
Okay. Make a quick note of that. Eldov immediately does not like that you've brought this crazy old man to see him. And
Yeah, what else is new?
looking at the two of them, they look pretty similar. Like, they should get along just fine. Here's
Right,
how
exasperated. Mhm.
Here's how it went down, according to the old Marmy. He says that when he was Darkwood, he had this plan to overthrow the Lady of Pain. And he bent a lot of his resources to finding a stone to cast a spell that would allow him to do that. He realized that just this action alone would get him to be mazed, so he set up contingencies for that as well. Finding the stone, finding one magic stone in an infinite multiverse is basically impossible. So what he did is he did what any taker would do. The Fated had a lot of resources, magical resources, able to trace ownership, which is how they collect on taxes that have been owed for thousands of years.
Nice.
He was able to take some of these spells and put them together and create more powerful versions of them, and was tracing the ownership of this particular gem through the ages, and it was very time-consuming, and eventually he landed on Eldov, and that's where the trail went cold.
And Riot looks to Eldov.
Yeah.
So? Labyrinthine stone? Ring any bells?
He says that he and Terran recovered a stone from a very powerful... well, he was talking about trap stones earlier, one that contained a very powerful warlock. And they were planning to use the magic of the stone to assert permanent control over the hut. And he says that he brought it, when they finally recovered it, they brought it to Sigil, to a safe place that Fred had established for them. And before they were able to put the stone to use, well, the unpleasantness happened.
So it's in the tower somewhere.
Or the reason why those fiends, because we always wondered why those fiends popped up outside that portal. Maybe that's what drew them?
Could be. Anyone know how to locate a thing?
And the
Mahogany raises his hand.
the old Barmy says that if you get him particular spell components, he can pick up right where he left off.
No need. We know the exact tower where it should be. We just don't know if it's still there. That's what I want to go check.
I'll go with you.
I won't. I can't cast a spell and I need to sleep.
Yeah, Kelian also needs to rest.
So at dawn, Kelian and Riot are going to go take a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liberation had a power nap. He's good.
And that's where things sit the next morning. Nath.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning when you wake up, you pay your trip to the rat hole, and you discover what Mahogany discovered. The portal isn't opening. And you start getting reports from your Harmonium contacts, the portals that the Bleakers gave you, that they can bring supplies through. None of them are opening. And then by mid-morning, it becomes apparent that this is happening all over the city. The doors are closed, and the panic is starting to set in.
I think before she went to sleep, one quick thing. Is the door to Riot's mansion still open?
It doesn't interfere with your mansion, no.
Okay.
So we're stuck here.
Caged in the cage. That's
So what
very
does Nath do with that information? Since he's the first one who's going to wake up tomorrow and do stuff with portals.
That is probably worth informing Mahogany, and I'm pretty sure Riot can create food. So I'll immediately issue a sending back to my. I can probably just get a runner, actually, save the spell slot.
Okay.
I'll tell them to immediately put everyone on minimum rations and to do what they can to keep chaos from spreading out. I'm going to go talk to some spellcasters, and then I'll head to the temple.
Okay. And having spellcasters using all their spell slots to create food and water is a fantastic idea, but you all know that it's not going to be enough. If it was that easy to feed the cage with just spellcasters, then that's how everybody would get fed. There's just not enough spellcasters in all the city with enough spell slots to create food and water for everybody. The question is, how many days is it going to take for the city to tear itself apart with no more resources coming in? What was Mahogany doing the next morning?
I think I'll use some of it to level up.
Okay, so you're going to be leveling up. That leaves...
Because I don't need to take a rest. I already popped that.
It's going to bring us to Liberations, heading to the Foundry.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of the Foundry is turned to making weapons to fulfill requests from their Harmonium and Sons of Mercy allies to help keep the peace. A lot of have turned to that endeavor.
Okay. I'm going to look for... I gotta look up his name again. Ragnall, my warrior friend. I'll look for him.
Okay. He's about. He's just incredibly busy with his work.
Yeah, of course. But assuming Liberation gets this word that portals are closing down as well, does he?
You get conflicting reports from out and about the streets of Sigil.
Liberation's gonna... Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, you hear it both ways.
Liberation is going to put his own to the test. He's going to go find the portal in the basement of a doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
That's the portal that that I got through belief. That goes straight into the slave markets of the city of Brass.
Right.
He's going to attempt to open that,
And it does not open when you
Okay,
make the attempt. The conflicting reports you're getting, make an insight check.
Insight. That went up thanks to this level I just got
Oh, interesting.
by a point. I took. That's a 10.
A 10.
Yep.
Yeah, you're just receiving conflicting reports. You're not sure what to believe, but when you try it for yourself, I mean, the evidence is pretty clear.
Okay. Did Izena follow me to the foundry?
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's being your shadow right now. She was
Okay.
there when you fell asleep, and she was in the same place when you woke up.
All right. I'm going to haul ass to the. Okay, so once I'm not getting any clearer answers from the foundry.
Mm-hmm. Well, what
Liberation-
answers are you seeking?
Just as far as what's the deal with these portals? What's happening? Liberation is going to return to the temple and go straight to the oldest Barmy and say who shut these portals down.
Okay. At the foundry, the godsmen have a portal to the plane of fire that they use to keep the fires going. The portal closes intermittently in predictable times, and they use those times for maintenance work.
Okay.
And what you glean is that portal did close very unexpectedly, and that currently the forges are being fired with spellcasters. That's not something that they can keep up indefinitely, but
Yeah.
the godsmen are... Half of the faction is preoccupied with the fighting, and the other half, are preoccupied with their work. And they're pretty sure that the portal's going to come back online, as it were. Nobody here seems very nervous about it yet.
All right. The group of the faction gentlemen, the namers.
Mm-hmm.
The group of namers that have kind of glommed onto me and kind of subscribed to what I believe. I'm gonna round them up and say, look, you might call this a crisis of belief or something, but I think something very terrible has already happened and is going to continue to happen, and we need to stop the focus on getting weapons out, and we need to start the focus on helping people.
Make an influence check with your faction. I've got you a 16 influence.
That sounds about
Godsman.
right. Yeah. All right, my proficiency bonus is +5. Yeah. So this roll. Come on. Oops, that wasn't a roll. That was just hit the E key instead of the R key.
That's what I would say too if it came up that low.
Haha! Yes.
Was that a roll?
Yeah, I'm gonna belief point that because that seems pretty shitty. Okay, that is a 16.
16.
Yeah.
When you explain that you're having this crisis of belief, they tell you to take heart. Their beliefs are as strong as ever because they watched Factal Ambar ascend before their eyes. This is the thing that many people saw.
And when they start saying that liberation's I've gotten reliable reports, including from someone who actually saw it happen, that one Factal was assassinated and another vanished before a friend of mine's eyes.
So you're explaining to them that you want the godsmen to stay neutral in the conflict?
I want them to focus their efforts on helping a group of Harmonium that are focused with that have been tasked by Nath to aid the people. That's what Liberation wants to see.
Okay. And some number of them do see the wisdom in that. The Godsmen, especially the ones that you were talking to, these are not people who are going to go out and join the fighting anyway. But they do like the idea of using the bounty and the wealth that the Godsmen have to enrich the people who have been dispossessed by the fighting.
Yeah.
And then where are you heading after the foundry? Back to the temple?
After that, back to the temple and putting the screws to the oldest army.
When you tell him that the portals are closed now, he insists that it's imperative that you find a particular set of spell components. Now
Has
that
Nath shown up at the temple yet?
Yeah, you were headed back to the temple as well.
Because I hadn't done anything really, so.
What were you doing at the temple when you got there? What was the plan?
I wanted to talk to Riot, and the rest of it. Basically, this group are some of the most powerful people I know in the city.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone has ideas,
Do you wake Riot up?
not if someone else is there awake. Is Mahogany there awake?
I'm awake, but I'm leveling, so it's probably not as involved as like. Nich.
Well, I think I'll run into Liberation. It sounds like.
Riot, Kelian, and Mahogany are all resting. When you arrive at the temple, I mean, you're greeted by Yashnar, as he's seen you in and out of there. Factal Karan is there, and then Eldov and Cube are upstairs. But you arrive before Liberation does, because this would be at the point where he was in the foundry.
Mm-hmm. I'll take this opportunity to do something I wanted to do anyway. I'll go up and talk to Eldov.
Okay.
Just nod to Yashnar.
And Eldov is just finished breaking his fast.
Eldov, what can you tell me about this? And I'll pull the little star liquid thing out of my belt pouch.
At first, he opens his mouth like he's about to, he doesn't know what it is, but he catches himself. And he looks kind of wistful. And he says, "The crazy bastard went and did it."
I got it from Jade Bull. My own research has determined a bit about it, but not a lot.
He asks what you've determined.
That its consciousness, it was psionically protected as well as magically, and that it could potentially partition someone's mind. And that Jade Bull got it because Terran, I believe that's the person's name, right? Terran, probably felt that it was like, it sounds like he gave his sword to someone and he gave this to someone. This is all secondhand information for me.
He says that he and Terran, actually Cube, did much of the work. Cube being the high-level wizard out of the three of them. They were a potent trio. You have a high-level wizard, a warlock, and a sorcerer. Cube did most of the work on the project. And he rouses Cube, who had been dozing off in the corner. Cube seems to recognize it immediately. And he says that it was a theoretical solution that Cube came up to a problem that Terran had had. In that Terran came to understand that eventually a pit fiend was going to come and claim him. The day would come when he would be impressed into service by Destin Locke. He made an agreement with the devil for petty reasons, which seemed important at the time, but it became clear that he was in more trouble than he expected. And Cube came up with the idea to section off part of Terran's mind and put it into some sort of medium, so that when Locke came to collect, he wouldn't get all of him.
So what's the value of this part of Terran's mind?
He says it looks as though Terran managed to succeed in making the theory a reality some point after Cube and Elda vanished.
So do you put it into a body and you have a Terran, or?
He says you should be able to communicate with it psionically or magically.
Well, it's probably worth investigating after the current crisis is over. Is anyone else awake?
Cube offers to commune with it now. He's got his spell charges back. He can send sendings and messages through to it.
I'll hand it to Cube. That's fine.
Okay. And he does. He sits down and begins casting sending spells. And then Liberation and his succubus arrive back at the temple.
Who's the straight man?
So you came in.
Liberation, hey-oh!
You come in and start putting the screws to Eldov.
No, to the oldest Barmy.
Oh, to the Barmy. Are you going to
Yeah.
wake him up?
Yes.
And when you do, he insists that it's imperative that you guys find him a particular list of spell components. He has this taker magic. Now that Eldov is no longer beyond reach, he can put back together the chain of ownership. If Eldov put the stone into place, but the stone became lost, he will be able to find out who has it, how many hands it has been through since then, and where it is now.
What are there any spell components I could get my hands on?
Somewhat obscure, but you're pretty sure you'd be able to get them. The difficulty would be that the city right now is just in a state of disarray.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this will open the portals. I've got a city to feed here. Look, everything else is pretty secondary.
The Barmy insists that if you bring him the stone, if you find out where it is and they bring it to him, he's going to be able to set right everything that he made wrong. He's going to be able to correct all of the mistakes he made when he was Darkwood.
Does that include your coup? Because that was mistake number one.
And he nods in agreement. He said that was the ignorance and arrogance of youth with which he is.
I don't have time for this. I need to. We're going to have riots within days, if not hours, and I'm already on my way to the marketplace.
Eldov chirps up, "No, Riot's in the other room. She said she was going to sleep."
I'll be honest, I was a little confused too when he said we'll have riots in hours. What does that mean? Oh wait,
It means
literal
riots. It means the riot's going to wake up and cast mirror image, and you'll have riots on your hands.
Actually, do I think I can get the stuff from the spellcaster supplies in the gatehouse? Not in the gatehouse, in the armory barracks. I'll get the right one eventually. In the barracks.
It's possible. Not without a little bit of jink, probably.
Okay, that's not a problem.
Well, we don't
The
have
money I was going
access
to spend
our-
on food. Already out the door.
Okay. What is Liberation and Mahogany doing for the remainder of the afternoon while Nath is securing those ingredients and finding a way to get food?
I think I'm going to go back to... I can't accomplish anything more here, and he's already getting the ingredients. So I'm going to go back to the gymnasium and see how people are holding up.
Okay.
I love that he's already forgotten what Riot told him to do.
And what about Liberation?
Already.
Liberation is going... First, he's going to talk with Izena, and he's going to say, "Look, I can't call you Izena if you want to keep your who you are under wraps. I got to call you something different."
She says you can call her whatever it pleases you.
Don't put it like that, please.
She's a succubus. That's her nature. She has to put everything like that.
I'm calling you Rose from now on, okay? Come on, Rose, let's go. Liberation is going to dash off, going for the. He's going to dash off. Actually, he's going to help Nath out.
Okay. How much coin are you guys able to put towards securing these ingredients? Some of them you'll be able to find at the barracks. Some of them you're going to have to squeezle out of the bazaar on the way.
I've got
go ahead.
615 on me.
Okay.
I have 7 platinum pieces on me right now.
Okay. Go ahead and mark off 300 gold between the two of you.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Is it also, while I'm in the middle of this, possible to grab a couple other components for other spells I wanted to cast? Like just routine stuff?
Like stuff out of the PHB?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything you need, just go ahead and buy at costs from the PHB.
Yep.
Normally, you'd be able to
Okay.
get them cheaper than that, but the Harmonium is on strict rationing right now.
Gee, I wonder who did that.
Yo,
There's actually quite a bit of dissent in the Harmonium ranks, because they're getting orders from some people to do one thing, they're getting orders from you to do another thing, they're getting orders from Swan's son at the Armory to do a third thing. So the Harmonium is in, the core of it is in pretty much disarray right now.
Hey, Liberation, can you run all of this back to the temple? I want to see what I can do about issuing some orders and getting some food. I have a few ideas.
All right.
I'll meet you there before mid-peak, I believe is what it's called.
Sure.
All right, so Riot, Kelian, Mahogany, by the end of your rest, Liberation arrives back at the temple with a basket full of magical ingredients. And what was Nath... let me ask this. When is Nath returning to the temple? At what point?
I wanted to do one action before doing that.
Okay, go ahead and take that right now.
I wanted to roll my secret influence and see if I could find about anything about large stores of food within the city that the Harmonium could... I mean, at this point, I don't really care. I don't want to crack any heads, but any non-lethal raid short of that to procure and then start distributing
All right.
evenly.
I have your secret influence at 16. Go ahead and make that roll.
Yep.
20.
20. Okay. In the immediate future, it seems like those efforts came to naught. I mean, the city is trapped. No food's coming in. Every wizard in the city, if they were so inclined, working around the clock, casting all of their spell charges on create food and water. We're including Genasi with the ability to summon water. I hear there's a priestess of Osprey somewhere in town, which is kind of weird. Working around the clock, creating resources could maybe keep a tenth of the city fed. And you know that all of those resources would be devoted to just the wealthiest nobles in the Ladies' Ward, or high-ups in factions. Things are starting to get very desperate. So by the time you arrive back at the temple, as the others are finishing their rest, and Liberation is starting to sort out through these magical ingredients, that's where we're going to pick it up after the break, where all of you are back in the same place.
Okay.
It's about 4:15. Why don't we reconvene at 4:30?
Sure.
Okay.
Give time for everybody to eat a bagel or 2 bagels. I'm going to eat 2 bagels.
What flavor?